Now, real quick, just a content warning, okay? For those of you who like me and possibly don't like me, this is going to be one of my most harsh truth videos I've ever created, possibly on my channel. Not even just for Marvel Rivals, but on my channel. So if you do not want any of your perceptions of me warped, don't watch this video. However, I feel like the truth needs to be said. And if you're someone who doesn't mind the truth being said about things and you really want to know, continue watching. But if it's something that's going to make you crash out and make you feel horrible and all that, I recommend to not, because it is a very harsh truth type of video. That being said, let's roll. I have a question for you. Does Marvel Rivals actually take skill? Now, keyboard warriors, I know y'all getting ready to type in the comments because that's what y'all do, but that's okay because I love reading your comments. Just be respectful. There has been a lot of talk about EOMM and matchmaking being horrible and my teammates suck and all this extra stuff. There's always a reason to why the player can't win their matches, and this has started all the way in season 0. Now, the interesting part about it is that Marvel Rivals has the most broken characters in existence. Every single character in this game is broken, and if you play any character and you're like, Poppin', my character is not broken, you're crazy. Every character in this game is broken, but it does make sense because they are all superheroes, and that's the point. They want them to be over the top. But I think this is what also leads to players thinking that they are a lot better than they are. Even players that are in top 500 are not good at the game. Now, you might be thinking, Poppin', what? That makes no sense, bro. I don't even understand what you mean. A lot of players that play this game are not good at the game. Therefore, a lot of players have inflated ego, thinking that it's their team, it's EOMM, it's matchmaking, it's all these other outside factors because they don't know how to take accountability. But that's not their fault. The game gives them that false sense of ego. The game gives them that false sense of skill. Right now, you're looking at a tier list. We're going to go through each character and talk about which characters require game knowledge, which characters require skill, which characters require both, and which characters require neither. What we're focusing on is how much game knowledge or skill, or both, is required to bring value to the match. And what I mean by bringing value is that each character in this game provides a specific amount of value to the match. And whether you are good or bad, it doesn't really matter. Some characters can provide that value. But the real problem with this is that bringing value to a match is based off how good or bad the enemy is. We'll talk more about that because I don't want this video to be too long, but we'll talk more about that as we start slotting these characters. But you're gonna see what I mean when I say a lot of the players that play Marvel Rivals have inflated egos and they just are not good at the game in general, but they think they are. So then they have all these excuses on why they can't win and why they're on loss streaks and all that extra stuff, but it's just because they're not good at the game. Again, keyboard warriors, do your thing down there. I know you don't want to hear it, but my channel is all about speaking the truth. There's way too many players that just aren't good at this game and they think they are, so they whine a lot. That's pretty much how it is. If you've ever played any game that requires a lot of skill, there's less whining about the matchmaking. There's less whining about their teammates. There's more whining about character balance. There's more whining about what it feels like to play the game. And of course, this game is for casuals, so you probably have never even played a game like that in the first place. Let's get started. Here we go. Adam Warlock. Does he require game knowledge, skill, neither, or both? Now, when we're talking about game knowledge, we're focused on what you need to know about the game. When we're talking about skill, we're focusing on how you pilot your character, okay? So just so that you guys understand the difference between game knowledge and the skill to play the character. Adam Warlock, in my opinion, just requires skill. You do not need any game knowledge to play this character. If you know how to shoot, Adam Warlock will be your go-to. You might be thinking, well, Poppin', that makes no sense. You gotta learn when to rage, you gotta learn when to use your abilities, to bring value to the team, if you could take people out, you did a good job. You don't need game knowledge and it doesn't require both. Again, keyboard warriors, get down there because this video, y'all have some stuff to talk about. Next, we have Black Panther. Does he require both game knowledge, skill, or neither? This character requires neither. Poppin', what? That makes no sense, bro. I have 1,000 bajillion hours and he just... Bro, to bring value to the team, this character does not require game knowledge or skill. As long as you throw a spear and you dash, everybody has to look at you. When they look at you, that gives your team an opening to get the KOs and to wipe their team. A lot of players do not understand strategy. That is a form of strategy, and you're doing it without even knowing. Players are too focused on getting KOs. Players think that, oh, if I don't get KOs with the character sucks, or, oh, I'm not. No, stats don't matter, but this is because you're not used to playing strategy games. All you see is a scoreboard. You probably came from Call of Duty, you probably came from Overwatch, which, again, Overwatch does require strategy, and so does this game. I'm not discrediting it, but the amount of strategy needed for this game versus the in-depth needed for like real-time strategy games, it's really different. It's massive. And if you come from those type of games, you're understanding exactly what I'm saying. So, as I said before, Black Panther requires neither. As long as you go in and you dash around, it is justice. You don't need to get KOs because your team will do it for you. Next character, Black Widow. Does she require game knowledge, skill? She just requires skill. She doesn't require both, and she doesn't need game knowledge. If you can land your shots, if you can kick people away, good job. Now, I'm not saying characters in general don't need any game knowledge, but to bring value to the team, you do not need game knowledge with any of these three characters listed. Let's move on. Does it require both? Does it require game knowledge, skill, or neither? This character requires neither. You need to just run around and you're doing the same thing Black Panther is doing. You're just being a distraction. Now you could say, well, Papa, the higher you get, the more game knowledge you need and the more skill you need, right? I mean, that's how it works. Right? It is true, but not for every character. And we'll talk more about this as we get down the line, but I just want you guys to know this list is general. So this means whether you're bronze or one above all, this is everybody lumped into one. I'm not breaking this list down. So in general, this is what it looks like. Next character we have Cloak and Dagger. Requires neither. All you need to do is ult. All you need to do is heal, throw your blind. It doesn't require much to bring value to the team. You just bring value by picking the character. Next character, Doctor Strange. This character requires game knowledge. You don't really need to be good at the character, but you do need to understand what you're doing with the character. You're not gonna just straight up bring value to the team because you know how to reload, cancel fast, and shield hop, and no, that's not how Doctor Strange brings value. In order for this character to bring value, you need to understand the flow of the game. This is why a lot of players, especially in low rank, don't even understand how to like make this character work. But on top of that, players in high ranks, and I mean one above all, they don't understand how to make Doctor Strange work either. This is why a lot of people think that he's bad. They don't have game knowledge. People do not understand that they are not actually good at this game. And more than I'm gonna say, 90% of this game on both PC and consoles are not good at this game. I know, keyboard warriors, I'm sorry, harsh truth, I get it. And it's not to discredit anybody who's climbing ranked or anything like that, but to have a community that's so vocal and that complains so much and blames so much and whines so much, it's weird because you're not good at the game anyway. You know what I mean? That could seem like a personal attack, and it's not. But you have to understand if you really are good or if you're not and your character is doing the work for you. Let's move on. Next, we have Emma Frost. This character requires skill. You don't need much game knowledge, and it doesn't require both. But if you can press the buttons right on this character, you most likely will start mowing down enemies because that's how this character is designed. Next character that we have is Groot. Easily game knowledge. You don't really necessarily need skill to play this character, as much as that may sound weird. You just need to know how to put up your walls and where to put up your walls. Everything else will fall into place once you do that. You don't need to have the skill to pilot the character because the character realistically is very easy to play. Next, we have Hawkeye. Requires skill. Land your shots, you brought value to the team. Good job. The next character, Hela. Land your shots, you brought value to the team. Good job. Next character, Hulk. You just jump around. It doesn't really require much skill in the sense of, again, being general. Now this, if we were to say this is just encompassing Marvel Rivals only, then some of these characters would need game knowledge and whatnot. But I'm talking about the real game knowledge and skill you need to play real game knowledge heavy games or strategy games. It doesn't require it. And we know that they're different genres. Pop in the different genres. No, I know. Next, we have Human Torch. He requires skill. You don't need much game knowledge. You don't need, but it doesn't require both. Next, we have Invisible Woman. It doesn't require any. Next, we have Iron Fist. It requires neither. Next, we have Iron Man. Requires neither. Next, we have Phoenix. Land your shots, you're good to go. Next, you have Jeff. Okay, this one, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. This one's a little rough. As much as I don't like this character, he's so bad that you're not gonna be good unless you understand how to like play Jeff. So as easy as the character might be, you still need to understand how to play the character. And as useless as I think this character is, especially at high ranks, you don't really need to understand how to pilot the character to make it work. Next, we have Loki. Requires neither. Realistically, this character is just stupid. Next, we have Luna Snow. Requires skill. You land your shots, boom, good job, congratulations. Next, Magic. Requires neither. Poppin' combos, and you need to learn this, and you need to go. No, you don't. To bring value to the team, you can button mash and it will work. Next, we have Magneto. This requires game knowledge. There's not really much you could do about this. Even if you land your shots, you're gonna get run over if you don't understand how to play the game at all, like period. Next, we have, actually, Magneto requires both. You need to learn how to pilot the character and you need to learn how to, you need to understand the game. If you put every single player that plays Marvel Rivals and says, here's a new account, play Magneto and climb this character up to where you peaked your rank, I guarantee 99, that's too much. I'll say 95% of the player base couldn't do it. He's the type of character that requires both game knowledge and skill. And again, a lot of players aren't that good at this game, even though that they feel they are, which leads to people complaining and whining about matchmaking, EOMM, and all this extra nonsense that isn't the reason why they aren't climbing. It's because they just aren't good at the game. Next, we have Mantis. So Mantis, just land your shots, you're good to go. Next, we have Mr. Fantastic, requires no skill or game knowledge. Next, we have Moon Knight, requires no skill, no game knowledge. Next, we have Namor, requires no skill, no game knowledge. Next, we have Penny, requires no skill, no game knowledge. I'm gonna say it requires game knowledge. I mean, without Rocket, we're not counting a team. If this team up is involved, it requires no skill. But without Rocket, this character actually, you need to know what you're doing. If you don't, you're gonna get run over. Next, we have Psylocke, just requires skill. You can press buttons right, you're probably gonna get KOs. Next, we have Rocket, doesn't require skill. Next, we have Scarlet Witch, doesn't require skill. Next, we have Spider-Man, doesn't require skill. But you need to learn how to press the combos and get to bring value to the team. You do not need to do anything extremely well. You go in and you punch things and you leave. The team does the rest of the work. This is what I'm trying to tell you, is that a lot of players really think that they're doing an amazing job and they're that good at the game, and no, you're not. These characters are just very hard to deal with, especially for a casual player. This is a casual game, so if you make them do things that are harder than a casual player can do, they're not gonna be able to do it. This is what I'm talking about. But this is what makes people think that they're good. Oh, I play Spider-Man and I'm good at Spider-Man, and yeah, but even if you sucked at Spider-Man, you're still bringing the exact same amount of value. Now, you could be good with every single character. I'm not saying you can't, but just to bring value at a basic level, you don't need it. Next, we have Star-Lord, requires skill. You need to know how to press the buttons. Next, you have Storm, requires no skill. Next, you have Squirrel, no skill. Next, you have Punisher, no lag, land your shots. Next, you have The Thing, no skill. Next, you have Thor, press buttons. Next, you have Ultron, press buttons, or like land your shots. Next, you have Venom. That one's kind of rough. I'm not gonna lie. I would say that it just requires more skill than game knowledge. Next, you have Bucky, land your shots. Next, you have Wolverine. Doesn't really require much skill in my opinion. Once you learn him, he's good to go. And then next you have Blade, requires both game knowledge and skill. This is our list for Marvel Rivals. You know, to me, it's not objective, it's subjective. But this really goes to show you how many characters in this game requires skill and game knowledge to bring value. This is sad, but this is what leads to a lot of players thinking, my games are rigged and the matchmaking sucks and EOMM. You're not good at the game, guys. You're just not a good player. But the problem is Marvel Rivals allowed you to think that you're good, not only because these characters are insanely busted, but because in the beginning seasons, season 0 to season 2, they gave you free ranks. They allowed you to suck and still climb. But now, in season 3 and moving on into season 4, they're making it so that you need to learn how to play your character properly to get more points. They're making it so that there's more restrictions to who you can play with. They're also making it so that there's more restrictions to the amount of people you can play with. The further this goes into the seasons, the more you're gonna whine because they're making it harder for you to climb because the ranked ladder was inflated by players who just weren't good in the first place. Do you guys see why this is frustrating? Not just to me, but to so many other players that actually understand how to play the game properly. A lot of people are complaining and whining and just all this nonsense, but they don't understand how to play the game anyway. So you're flaming and raging and whining and EOMM and my team is why, and there's so many throwers and all that extra nonsense. And there's always reasons to why you're not climbing, other than I just suck at the game, bro. It's not to say that you can't get better at the game, but the game is going to end up continuously down. The game is going to end up in a down spiral, because when you have a player base that thinks they're good and thinks they know what they're talking about, but they don't, the devs has a choice to make. They either focus on you guys who have no clue what you're talking about, but to make you guys happy, or they do what's right and make you guys mad. People think that, oh, they're responding to EOMM because of the allegations. No, they're doing it to shut you guys up. And even then, it's not gonna shut you guys up because they already made you think you're good at the game. Players that tend to not be good at the game and say EOMM is real, they'll do one of two things. They're gonna say something like, well, here's the papers and this is all that, and they did research, and those are the players who probably don't even play the game, and if they do, they're probably gold. The players that are like, yeah, they ruined my game and I can't climb and I'm lose streaking, and those players are probably around like platinum or diamond. Most likely. Maybe there's a few grandmasters and celestials, but honestly, in my opinion, you're not even a high rank until you are maybe high celestial. That sounds really bad, but that's how many bad players are in this game right now. And when I say that, I don't mean you can't get better. I don't want you guys to think that the game is doomed because everybody sucks and your accomplishments don't matter. That's not what I'm saying. If you reach gold, congratulations. If you reach diamond, congratulations. Grandmaster, whatever your rank goal may be, if you reach it, congratulations. But what I am saying is I don't think someone who doesn't understand the game at a fundamental level deserves to start complaining and whining and all this extra nonsense that just drags the game down. I don't want to make this video too long, and I don't want this to feel like I'm attacking you guys, but it's just very annoying to see the same stuff when I, and probably a lot of other players that really understand that, you know, that are really good at not just this game, but other games. We're all frustrated because majority of the player base isn't good, but you're making the game seem worse because you're whining. And that is one of the most frustrating things ever, because the developers themselves can't focus on bringing you a better game because there's so many people that don't know what they're talking about. It's frustrating. So at the end of the day, you might be like, Poppin, why'd you even make this video, bro? Are you just crashing out on me? I am, 1,000%. But I'm making this video because I want people to realize, whoever sees this video, you're not as good as you think you are. And there's a lot of players that understand they aren't as good as they think they are. They don't even think that they're that great. You know, they're still trying to improve and learn and do their thing. But you have so many players that are ruining the game, quote unquote, so to speak, by all their comments on Twitter, Reddit, Discord, Steam, just all this nonsense about EOMM and my teams are throwing and bro, you're not good at the game. Listen to me. You are not as good at the game as you think you are. You're a Magic player, you're an Iron Fist player, you're a Spider-Man player, you're playing all these characters that don't need to do anything to bring value to their team, and you climb. And then you get to a rank that you do not belong in, and you complain and whine about EOMM. No, your character just doesn't work there anymore because players are better than you, and now you're not winning games because you're not good enough to. This is what we call inflation. If I'm a gold player that suddenly picks up Magic and I end up in diamond because the character is dumb and it doesn't require any skill, I just button mash and I'm there to bring value to my team. Well, guess what? That means that you're in diamond as a gold player. Guess what? That means you're gonna win 4, lose 4, win 4, lose 4. Guess what? That means if you don't play Magic, you're definitely gonna end up back in gold. Do you see what I'm trying to say? Keyboard warriors, as I said, if you haven't already started, do your thing, because I know y'all upset right now. But the ones that are actually hearing what I'm saying, the ones that are actually understanding what I'm saying, the ones that come from different strategic games, the ones that even come from Overwatch, I'm pretty sure you guys understand exactly what I'm saying. I am pretty sure you understand, even if it's not fully. There's a piece of you that's like, Poppin', yeah, I get where you're coming from. So all I'm asking is just get better at the game. If you get better at the game and then you whine, it makes sense. But if you're not good at the game in the first place and you're whining about how much the matchmaking is bad and EOMM and the teams and just all this extra nonsense, if you're not good at all, why do you feel like you should complain? You don't even understand the game. It doesn't make sense, right? So realistically, you may feel like you're bringing value to conversations by saying EOMM and matchmaking and just bringing your full case file of why the game's rigged, but you just look like a fool. Why? Because you're not good at the game anyway. And based off what's usually said by that type of player, it's very obvious to see they're not that good at the game anyway. They're just hanging on to something. But But I wanted to make this video because both on console and PC, the amount of people that are on comms and typing is just, it's so obvious to see how bad everybody is. It's so obvious. And I just want NetEase to just erase the entire ladder. Erase the entire ladder, put everybody back into bronze, add an MMR system, add a placement system, and have these players freaking climb from 0. That being said, if you play some of these requires no skill characters, you're probably gonna climb anyway. If you play some of these requires just you need to press buttons properly, you're probably gonna climb anyway. The only characters that are gonna hold you back if you do not understand how to play them is going to be the game knowledge characters and the requires both characters. But you can see how little there are of those type of characters versus how many there are of inflated ego characters. The characters that make you feel like you're good. The characters that will make you win more games because the enemy has no clue how to deal with you. The characters that are just super impactful regardless of how you perform. Kind of crazy, isn't it? Thank you guys for watching. Do appreciate it. And until next time, you know what I always say. Thank you guys for doing what? Popping often. Pull off. Wow.